In this episode of Hardwood Floor TV, recognizing what it may take to refinish your floor. There are several big machines used for refinishing hardwood floors. First, we have a belt sander that rental centers offer, but far and wide the traditional drum sander is the choice of most professionals, as they tend to have more power or torque in getting much older finishes off the floor, like this heavily waxed and shellacked example. Don't get me wrong, a belt sander works fine for floors that don't need aggressive sanding. So how do we know what needs to be done? By analyzing. In the example shown here, the finisher checks for flatness and what kind of finish may be on the floor. If there are boards higher and lower than another, or an older finish present, he needs to be more aggressive with a lower sanding grit to start. Often it doesn't take much thought in how to start, like this massive dog stain floor that was actually brought back to life. You can view that in our related videos at the end. Assuming your floor doesn't have the mentioned issues, we'll use an example that was probably installed in the 1970s, judging by the peg style. Regardless of what the handyman says, 36 grit is a standard starting grit for a typical hardwood floor like this. On this job, all the rough edging while also using 36 grit was completed prior to using the drum sander. In the first drum sanding sequence, the goal is removing all the older finish to bare wood and removing scratches, dings, and dents. After full trowel crack filling, followed with a proper drying period, the edger is used again with a finer 60 grit. This is then followed up with the drum sander a second time with 60 grit paper as well. The purpose here is removing the deeper scratches made by the coarser 36 grit. Important tips in using the drum sander include keeping a steady and consistent pace. Lower and raise the drum lever when in motion and not stopped. Never stop the machine in one spot when the drum is lowered. The last sandpaper grit sequence goes to 80 prior to the final sanding with the buffer shown here.
Massive dog stains? Not me, dude.
It's not always about you, Jig.
Thank goodness, jeez. Hey folks, check it out at the first video link. I'm amazed at how well that job turned out.
Definitely a can't miss.
Yep. And the second link talks about trowel filling. The last one at the bottom is about the edger. All that on hardwoodinstaller.com, the home of Hardwood Floor TV. Hey, don't we have one on that whirly thingy too?
You mean the buffer?
Yeah.
Sure, and lots more.
But how are folks going to find it?
Hardwoodinstaller.com.